Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi Live. Today I will be doing just improvisation of Blender, just using vanilla Blender. So I'm not going to be using nodes. And I'm going to try to create some kind of characters or maybe like a statues. And I'll be just doing the basic stuff. And this is Blender 2.90. That's beautiful Splash Fox wallpaper. And yeah, when you first start Blender, you're gonna have box, lamp, and camera. You can delete them, but I'm just gonna leave them for now. So what I'll do, I'll create a head using this box, and I'm just gonna jump straight into it. So if I were to do this without talking, maybe I shouldn't be talking too much. So with this box, right, this is in edit mode, and while in edit mode, if you shift A, you can create all kind of primitives. So I like to do, I'm gonna show you some kind of workflow that I've been thinking for a while to make a character, right? Just a really simple character. For example, I just created this donut, this torus, and I'm just gonna use it as an ear. So I'm basically doing some kind of blocking for my character design. I don't know what it is yet, but this is like just a really quick blocking. So this is one type of modeling workflow or that you can use. There are all kind of modeling techniques. I actually like to work this way. So it's probably, many people do it differently, but this is good for quick blocking because maybe at some point you want to sculpt it. That's a different thing. If you want to use extrusion or things like that, that's also different things. But I will be doing a little bit of extrusion for the head, for example. So 1, 2, 3 is a quick way you can switch between points, edges, and face. So I want to select the face. I want to do quick extrusions. Normally I use E, either using E or use I. I is to do inset. And after I do that, I usually use either one of these scale, rotate, or move. So I'm using move, which is G, which is the grab tool. So I'm making this really basic character, and I'm just gonna do it maybe just one side. I like my character to have unusual hair or head. So I'm gonna create an icosphere for the eyeballs, or you can use a normal sphere. Icosphere maybe have a bit more character. So I have this icosphere. Just gonna put it there. Okay, so it's very basic, and that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go back to object mode by hitting tab again. So it's toggle between edit and object mode. From here, I will mirror, and I'm gonna mirror it in the x-axis, but I also will turn on bisect because currently it's like overlapping. So I'm gonna turn on bisect, so it's kind of merging together. And for the nose, to have a bit of more character, I'm just gonna scale it. So there are my basic character. I'm gonna save it very quickly. Basic character. So I'm using vanilla Blender, nothing fancy. This is Blender 2.9. Blender 2.9 have a lot of things different with modifier. You can apply it now using Command A. So while it's hovering here, just Command A will apply it. So now we have our character head. we can actually start doing more with this. I was thinking, so if it's the ear, so for example, if before I do anything, I want to show you, you can use Remesh Modifier. So Remesh Modifier completely changed the topology, kind of like unifying everything, just blending it. Remesh has been around for the last few versions of Blender, and it's actually really powerful. So here, there's the voxel size. I'm holding Shift. I can have more details or less details. You can actually kind of make it like really low poly like this. So this is actually nice and clean. Everything is quad and square. It has quite okay topology. We don't need to worry about topology too much in this case. I'm just gonna make it like kind of like a low res character. Sometimes you hit like a really nice spot, you know, like it's kind of okay, and I'm just gonna turn on smooth shading, or just leave it for now. Just Command A. So I'm applying the remesh file. I save the blend quite often, so that's also important. Okay. And at this point, if you can actually go to sculpt mode very quickly. I think that's actually, depending on what you're doing, but I think that's the next step. But before I do that, I will turn on multi-resolutions and subdivide a couple of times. So we actually have character here, right? Okay, this part is too thin, so I can have displace modifier and just put it up there before the multi-res, and I can make it a little bit fatter for me so I can sculpt. I have more room to sculpt. Just gonna apply this, Command A. So file, save. Don't apply this because we're gonna use it inside sculpt mode. Okay, now we are inside sculpt mode, and in sculpt mode you can do a lot of sculpting. There's a lot of sculpting tools here, and we can start sculpting our character. Just sculpt the mouth. So sculpting, when doing sculpting, you need to give yourself a bit of time, you know, don't rush things. If you're doing, this is like me doing like a random character, right? But if you were to do it like more like a serious professional work, this thing takes time. And you know, give it an eyebrow. This is an eyelid. This is eyebrows. And maybe you can smooth this area. So you want to get used to all this brush, but normally I just use, you can use just draw. You can use grab just to reshape your character, and maybe flatten. Flatten is powerful. So you can sculpt your character. We are in this multi-resolutions mode. Actually, very interesting thing about multi-res is that you can bake it as a normal quite easily. So this is yeah, this is fun. If you want to do sculpting, it's gonna take a while. I'm not gonna do too much on this, but okay. Well, this character, oh, I like to do something with the hair, you know, because I did kind of make I did blocking, a bit of blocking on the hair. Yeah, that's quite okay. I'm just gonna leave it there. You can always sculpt it more. So with this character, we want to give it, maybe give it a body, you know. And for the body, my recommendation is to start with a cube, right? And go to edit mode. And you need to be in this mode, vertex select. In the face, if you right click, there's no options. You go to point mode, vertex mode, and then you right click, and then you merge vertices at center. Okay, and then we can start to grow the legs, the arm. So I'm growing the body, and I'm gonna extrude it using E. I'm gonna extrude down twice. This is for the leg. I'm gonna go to the side view. I'm gonna make the leg like that. Okay, obviously it's too small. Scale it. Oops. Maybe don't worry about scaling it for now. Let's continue. I'm drawing the body kind of like think of this like a plant, and this is for the neck, just like a stick figure, you know. And I'm back in object mode. Gonna scale this. Yeah, we can actually make a proper shape of the body. I don't know, maybe in this case I'm just gonna make this character doing this. So this is just a stick, right? It's just polygon edge. But Skin Modifier is always useful for this. Skin Modifier and subdivision surface, and also turn on smooth shading. But between this, we want to also add a mirror. Don't mirror it here, mirror it before the subdivision and before the Skin Modifier. So drag this up. So this is new in Blender 2.9. Also really handy. So we have this, right? It's not looking great, but you can scale it. And then Control A, hit apply all transform. Here, if we go to edit mode, we cannot see the original edge, and we still have this modifier working. So I'm gonna go to X-ray mode, and we can start reshaping our character, body, limbs. And the nice thing, of course, you can use Control A and you can scale. So this is usually, I think, the really fun method to create a simple character, or it could be a complex character that you can develop further. You definitely want to sketch up your character. This is like just me wandering around, just make a random looking character. But it's fun, you know. And in Blender, with Blender 2.9, we actually have something. So maybe you want to render this out very quickly. I'll do that. I will first smooth this out, and then we are still in X-ray mode. Gonna switch back to normal mode. We have this character with a, I think, with the basic material. This one doesn't have material. I'm gonna use the same material for both. Give it a bit of color. Maybe this is just like kind of like a sand looking character. You can't see the changes because you need to switch to object mode, or maybe it's under here, viewport display. Oh, okay, should be here. Okay, and then we want to switch to viewport shading, so, or even like render. Currently by default Blender 2.9 is using EV, but because this is I want to demonstrate a new feature of Blender 2.9. Under cycles you have, if you go to the world, you can have this new sky texture called Nishita, and with Nishita, if you go to render, suddenly it's very bright because we have an actual sun somewhere here. So I can delete I'm gonna delete this original light, and I will actually maybe create a floor so we can see what's going on. So Shift A, create a plane. Just put our character on the floor. With this plane, I'm gonna go to edit mode and then just extrude it down. So we have some kind of thickness. So this is the floor. I'm gonna give it a material as well. Okay, so now back to this mode. I can get rid of the original light. Actually, right click, just hit X, delete. Still very bright because we have our sun. Where's the sun? There should be a circle somewhere. Maybe I will increase the sun size so we can see disk. Not very visible, but I can play around with the sun elevations and sun rotations. I'll elevate this a little bit. Should be able to see the sun. Maybe I need to increase this altitude. There you go. That's our sun. And so the altitude control the high position of our objects, I believe. So now we are actually really high. Maybe it's in meters. But what's interesting is the sun size for me, and then the sun intensity. You can reduce it down to 0 still. Okay, it's 0. But the sun elevation and sun rotations, that's the most interesting parameters here, because you can rotate the sun depending on your position in the world. You can rotate it, so you can see from the shadow there. You can rotate it until it goes back to the original positions. But there's also this sun elevations. It can be at 0 position, so it's really low. It's kind of like the sun's rising. Can be really pretty much up there, like daytime. So this is what this Nishita world, what is it called, like sky texture doing. There, in the old days, we have only Hosek and Pritham. Okay, so altitude, we can actually just make it 0 again. So sun elevations, control how far during the days. So it's now the sun is 90 degrees looking down. It's daytime. So let's go back to 0. This is like sunset or sunrise. Oh, okay. At some point, the sun disk kind of disappeared. The sun disk, actually, if it's a bit larger, your shadow will be blurrier. So this is our character. So if you want to further work with this character that you make, you can start doing like things like texture painting or shading. With texture painting, your character needs to have UV. However, with Vertex, if you are using Vertex painting, you don't need to worry about the UV as long your character have enough resolutions. So it's really totally up to you how you want to work. And your character, if you want to ever to animate it, you need to set up things like bones and IK controllers, all sort of things. But with this character, if you want to just have it animating, you can export it as FBX into mixamo.com and just apply motion capture. So that's one way. I guess if I want to continue with this, I just can apply this. I'm gonna apply all this. I'm using Command A. I'm gonna look at the details. I'm gonna subdivide this further. And I'm gonna paint a little bit. So now it's gonna be heavier. I'm gonna paint it using vertex painting, but you can also use sculpt, I think, but just use vertex paint for now. And yeah, go back to solid. Okay, pick a color. So it's like wood. Make it symmetrical. Start painting. So I don't have the most powerful computer, just MacBook Pro, but yeah, you can work at this resolution. I'm just gonna pick random color, and then maybe here's some kind of tribe character. So if you switch back to object mode, you cannot see the character's color. That's because vertex paint, you need to give it a material. Of course, you're gonna need to go to shader editor, and this is our material, and we're gonna use Vertex Color and just use the color of this guy, something like that. Now they're using the same material, but one of them doesn't have vertex paint, right? So we need to do quick vertex paint for this guy. So we have this vertex color data that we can use inside the shader. And again, I have to do a bit of painting, maybe set vertex color, okay, green, okay. We can make dirty vertex color, yeah, and start painting. Oh, okay. Not the most beautiful character, but I think at least it's original, And this is fun if you use Blender for the first time, you do this, or even it's like me. I've been using Blender for around 5 years, I think, so I know the basics. Doing a proper character design actually takes a bit of time. I mean, but first you maybe just sketch your character before you even touch Blender, and use a reference, things like that. Professional, if you're doing it professionally, yeah. If it's just like a hobby, you want to make something very quickly, this is one way to do it. And if you ever want to export this for augmented reality or for your game character, you can export it out, but currently it's only using Vertex Color. So you need to kind of bake it. And yeah, baking is also another thing that you need to know. Maybe I should just keep going with this. So this is the body. So head and body, we have camera. I'm not gonna render. I don't worry about the rendering it out, but I usually like to just export it out as AR or printing it out. So in this case, really, we want to bake it out, our character, and currently it's a bit heavy, so we want to have less details, things like that. So normally you make a duplicate, right? I think this is one way to do it. So this is head. I'm gonna make it low poly. This is gonna be body, low poly. So head low poly, what is this? I'm gonna use remesh once again. Oops, actually. So remesh is actually one way to do it. And you might want to bake the normal, etc. But at least this is gonna reduce the resolutions and keep the texture. So 0.1, okay. So compare this. This is before, this is after. This one can go a bit higher if you want to do more vertex painting, but you can be more precise if you are using texture UV. So I'm gonna hit apply, Command A, apply, and gonna reset the position. Okay, I forgot to reset this position of the head. Anyway, just copy, Command C, copy here, Command V. Okay, we're gonna try to bake this so we can have proper image bake. So I'm gonna create a new material for the head. For the low poly, okay, get rid of this. So this is the proper head material. And I'm gonna split this and create an image editor. And this is the new shader of this character. I'm gonna create a new image. Shift A, create a new image texture. 1024. This is head diffuse. And I'm gonna select the head low and then head original. Head low and then shift select the head like that. And then here we have a way to bake it out. So this is all using vanilla Blender, right? We have all this setting. We're just gonna worry about the diffuse color, just the color without any light. And we're gonna turn on selected to active, and also maybe turn on the cage. Oh, actually not the cage, just extrusion, a little bit of extrusion. And I think that should be good. So with the head low again, select head low and then shift click on the head. And then this image should be selected, this node, and then we bake it out. Not bake PBR, but just bake it here. No active UV. Okay, I forgot one thing. We need to have UV. So select head low. This is the fastest way, F3, Smart UV project. With the body as well. Give it a new material, body material, and then F3 Smart UV project. So select head low, and then select the original head, shift select, and then go back to this setting panel, and then hit bake. So I'm baking the vertex color of the higher resolution mesh into lower resolution mesh. And this might take a bit of time. So I'm just gonna wait. So all this process, you know, from the modeling, and then you maybe sculpt it a little bit, and then sometimes you have this kind of retopology, and then you apply a shader and then painting it with vertex color, and now we are baking it. The whole process takes time, but this is needed. So I'm gonna save this on my desktop, just plug this here. So this is the shader for our character's head. If I switch to texture, I can see the low head character now have texture. So this one I will shade smooth it. And now for the lower part of the body, again the same thing. Create image, new. This is body diffuse color. And switch body diffuse. Now while this is being selected, select body low, shift select body high, and same thing, just bake. Once you bake it as 3D mesh with image texture, you then can export it out as GLB and then convert it into, you know, USDF, for example, for Apple AR, send it to your iPhone or iPad, or with GLB you can do other things differently, you know, like using WebXR. Okay, now we have two shaders for the head and the body. That's basically the whole process. We don't have animations for this character, but yeah, like I said, you can use Mixamo to quickly give animations, kind of rig the character using Mixamo as well. Blender also have a ways to do that, but I'm not gonna do it today. It's just gonna be a little bit long. So this is like half an hour quick doodle of a character. So you don't actually need to stop here. Like, I mean, Vertex Color is good and fast, but you can see the detail is not very detailed. So at this point, you can do texture painting. So why not? And with texture painting, if you want to see the whole tools, right? So we have this, basically we have this texture that we just baked from Vertex Color. So this guy, if you go to UV editor, actually have UV. So the UV is the way you created this this UV informations that's used by image textures and to apply it and project it back into your character. So this is actually flat 2D. If you are new to 3D or self-taught like me. So now if you want to do like texture painting, it's already set for you here. You can see here this head diffuse. I have these brushes because I have an add-on called B Painter, but don't worry about that. Vanilla Blender also have this texture slots. I have material, and I have head diffuse plugin. So with this, we can continue painting. Maybe I want to turn on symmetry because it's kind of hidden over here. Turn on symmetry in X. So here where we can actually paint a little bit more detail. Again with the eyes, so this character maybe have blue eyes. See, with texture painting you can have more detail, much more detail. A bit random, totally random color for the eyes. And because this character need a pupil, and also maybe give white color, just highlight, and so you can continue again. So the whole process is I just kind of like a workflow that I have in mind for a while. I think this might be something that I will use. Yeah, so I use Vertex Color to do a rough painting, basically. You don't have to do this. You can go straight to the texture painting. Some people actually do retopology, and you know they use texture painting right away, and then they can add more details, maybe using other 3D other app like Photoshop or Krita. If you use Krita, it's free, and you can use Krita with Blender. Just the whole workflow and pipeline. So anyway, we have character. I don't know, maybe just paint the eyebrow as well. Yeah, it's fun, you know. With this character, you can add shape keys, blend shapes. Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential. Don't forget to save your image texture, by the way. It's always have this star, that means you haven't saved it. It's not saved automatically, so be careful there. So save, this is, I'm always, and I also, you might notice I save a lot, different versions with this plus button. So we can delete the original head, just keep the lower resolutions of the head. So we can move this back. So maybe I'll try to send this to Mixamo and make it animating and then turn it into AR. So this is really the whole process. I hope this is interesting and fun for you to look at. This is not like a professional 3D tutorials. This is for maybe like a total beginners, or maybe if you just want to do something, you know, like you want to be original. First of all, if you work in a company, you want to be professional and you want to follow their concept art, etc. But this is if you are doing it like for yourself. You sketch your character and you make your characters. It's gonna be original if you don't copy other people's artwork. I mean, you can learn from other people's, of course, other artists. But if you want to make yourself like full independent artist and you want to make everything yourself, one man's band, nothing wrong with that. You can do it this way, or maybe you can even find your own ways to work. So here I'm tweaking the principal BSDF because we can have subsurface scattering and make it a bit nicer when you render it this way. But yeah, this is only the basics. For example, with this character, you might want to have the eyes as a separate, separate, and you want to add more realism, or maybe it's okay as a stylized character. It's totally up to you. Make it more cartoony if you like. I just plug it into emissions. But with cycles, you have this sunlight, but these days I prefer to use EV as well for real-time render. Sometimes EV is enough, and then you just add a light and have a bit of more control that way. Area light. Sunlight. So currently it seems like if I switch to EV in this mode, the sun, this sky texture doesn't seems to work. So I have to switch to RGB, I think. Now we have proper shading. It's simpler, but that's okay. This is EV, it's real-time rendering in Blender. Also, actually really powerful. And if you actually if you're not doing AR, you just want to render it out in Blender, you need to set up camera. That's also important to know. Then you want to go inside the camera, or from this view, you know, this 3D view, you want to view camera, or align active camera to view. So now we are inside the camera. We can turn on camera to view and just do this framing. We'll try to render it out. So with EV directional light have shadow, area doesn't seem to have shadow. maybe when you can blur this a little bit more. Anyhow, I guess that's pretty much it. Just showing you the basics, and with Blender there's lots to learn actually. um, from layout, modeling, sculpting, you can actually have this layout that you can use. Sculpting, editing, texture painting, we've done that, we use that, but so far I'm just using my own layout. So there you go. That's the whole process to make a basic character in Blender. There's a few methods that I have shown you, like few techniques from, like blocking your character, remeshing your character, use multi-resolution modifier, and then go to sculpting mode, adding a bit of more details, and then you bake it out, bake image texture, and then you all this Vertex Color stuff. It's a lot, but it's the whole process of learning, and it's really gonna worth it because it's so powerful. You can make whole movie animations in Blender. You can bring your 3D assets character into game engine. Yeah, all sort of stuff. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy enjoy me talking for almost 1 hour. It's 40 minutes, but yeah, hopefully you find this useful somehow. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.